Senegal has just gone through its worst-ever political crisis in history. However, in the midst of this political tension, there are 5 major learning points the Gambia needs to take from this political crisis. These 5 major lessons are so crucial, so much so, that it will change the entire political landscape of the Gambia as well as enable them to have the right people in power. Make sure you stay till the end to find out about these 5 major lessons. Let's get right in. Before we jump into the 5 major lessons, first let me give you a bit of a brief context regarding Senegal's recent political crisis, just to make sure we are all on the same page. Macky Sall jailed and disqualified prominent opposition leader Ousmane Sonko over false allegations to stop him from running. Macky Sall is fully aware of the consequences as he knows that Ousmane Sonko will make him pay for his crimes if he should win the elections. Sall also dissolved the Pastef party belonging to Ousmane Sonko in a bid to save himself. This led to a nationwide protest with Sonko's supporters demanding for his release. Moving on further, Sall announced that the ballot would be postponed indefinitely, while speaking on national television on February 3rd, just a few hours before the start of the presidential campaign. This is the first of its kind in Senegal, a country known to be West Africa's most stable democracy. For the past few days, our country has been faced with a dispute between the National Assembly and the Constitutional Council in open conflict over an alleged case of corruption of judges, he said, arguing that this situation threatened the credibility of the vote. Senegalese lawmakers 4 days earlier approved a parliamentary inquiry into how some potential candidates' applications to enter the race had been invalidated. The inquiry was called for by the party of Karim Wade, who was excluded from the contest due to his French citizenship, as only citizens of exclusively Senegalese nationality are allowed to run. Wade's supporters said they suspected 2 Constitutional Council judges of having dubious connections with some candidates, notably Prime Minister Amadou Ba, Sall's preferred successor. So it was this reason Macky Sall opted to delay the elections. Question: is this a good reason to cancel elections? Comment down below. Sall said on national TV that these troubled conditions could sow the seeds of pre- and post-electoral dispute. Our country cannot afford a new crisis, after episodes of violence in March 2021 and June 2023, he said. The new deadline meant that Sall's mandate, due to end on April 2nd, would be extended by 10 months. Many people in Senegal objected, denouncing a constitutional coup d'état, enabling the president to hold on to power. Amidst the escalating crisis, President Macky Sall made the controversial decision to postpone scheduled elections, citing security concerns and the need for stability. However, this move was met with fierce opposition from the public, who viewed it as an attempt by the government to cling to power and stifle democratic processes. Tensions quickly escalated in the streets. Police cracked down on demonstrations organized across Senegal on February 9th and in the days that followed. 4 people died in Dakar, Saint Louis and Ziguinchor, the southern town where Sonko was elected mayor in 2022, in connection with the protests, the worst outbreak of violence during the election crisis. The Constitutional Council on February 15th delivered its verdict on the appeal of the election postponement, and it was a clear blow to Sall. The court annulled his decree abrogating the vote for lack of legal basis. The council also found that the law adopted by Parliament to postpone the vote violated the Constitution, a second no-go. Noting the impossibility of organizing the presidential election on the initially scheduled date of February 25th, the Constitutional Council asked the competent authorities to hold it as soon as possible. The President and the Council on March 7th finally agreed to hold Senegal's election on March 24th. The new date has the advantage of not falling on the Easter holiday, but meant that the presidential campaign unfolded during the Muslim holy month of Ramadan, a first in Senegal's history. The campaign period was also shortened from 21 to 17 days. As part of an amnesty law passed by Parliament a week earlier, Sonko and his replacement candidate Faye were released from prison on March 14th to rapturous celebrations by their supporters in the streets of Dakar. 10 days later, Sonko's candidate won the election. This is a brief overview of Senegal's recent political crisis. There are 5 major lessons Gambians need to learn from Senegal's recent political crisis if they are truly serious about selecting the right leaders into power and usher in legit national development on a serious level. Before we dive into these 5 major points that will transform the Gambia completely. This is a humble request to please like this video and subscribe to the African Pacific YouTube channel, a Gambian-owned channel looking into both the good and the bad happenings in the Gambia that are often ignored by mainstream media. Please show your support by liking and subscribing. Thank you so much. Now let's dive right into the 5 major lessons Gambians need to take from Senegal's political crisis that will transform the Gambia and end all forms of election malpractices and incompetent people coming to power. Let's go. The first major lesson is Senegal's independent judiciary. An independent judiciary plays a crucial role in upholding the rule of law and safeguarding democracy. Gambians should support efforts to strengthen judicial independence and ensure that courts remain impartial and free from political interference. The role of an independent judicial system is very crucial, as we have seen in the case of the Constitutional Council of Senegal, who refused to take side with Macky Sall when he postponed the elections. The Constitutional Council stood their grounds and sided with the rule of law and the national constitution, which was crafted even before Macky Sall himself was born. In comparison, in the Gambia, the judicial system is in the hands of the president, who appoints people or judges as he wishes, and even buy them cars. The president will seize this opportunity to flood the judicial system with his own people for a more easy sabotage. This shouldn't have happened, as the judicial system should have been an independent body free from all forms of interferences, including an interference by the state. The second major lesson is Senegal's unshakable electoral integrity. The integrity of electoral processes is essential for ensuring the legitimacy of elected leaders and maintaining public trust in democracy. The Senegalese electoral integrity is very impressive. The same day elections are conducted is the very same day results are disclosed to the public. After the polls have closed, counting will begin and broadcasted live on national TV for everyone to see until the end of counting, where it shows who is winning and who carries the majority of the vote. In the Gambia, it is quite the opposite. When polls have closed and counting starts, people won't know who is winning and which political party carries the majority of the vote. To make matters worse, the result won't be publicly disclosed until after a couple of days, creating enough room for all forms of electoral malpractices. The members of the Independent Electoral Council of the Gambia are chosen by the president. This itself defeats the whole purpose of IEC being an independent body, and the election process is definitely going to be unfair. Gambians should demand transparency, fairness, and accountability in all stages of the electoral cycle, making sure that the Independent Electoral Council is free of all encroachment by President Adama Barrow. If not, defeating Adama Barrow in elections would be a never-ending dream that won't yield any results. The third major lesson is the importance of civilian engagement. Senegal's crisis highlighted the power of civilian engagement and grassroots activism in holding leaders accountable and driving political change. Gambians should recognize the importance of active participation in political processes to safeguard democracy. As we have witnessed in Senegal, one man, Ousmane Sonko, was wrongly treated, and literally everyone came out showing solidarity and refusing to accept the unjust treatment of Sonko. If this was in the Gambia, things would have turned out quite the opposite, as some people tend to mind their business and refuse to stand for the truth. In Senegal, youth engagement in civil society organizations, CSOs, is notably higher compared to the Gambia. According to a study by the International Republican Institute, as of 2022, 68% of Senegalese youth aged 18-35 actively participate in various CSOs, whereas in the Gambia this figure stands at only 42%. Senegal demonstrates a considerably higher penetration of online activism compared to the Gambia. Research conducted by Afrobarometer shows that as of 2022, 43% of Senegalese citizens have engaged in some form of online activism, whether through social media campaigns or online petitions. In stark contrast, only 27% of Gambians have participated in similar online activism efforts, indicating a substantial digital divide in civil engagement between the two countries. The fourth major lesson is media freedom. A free and independent media is essential for holding the government accountable and informing the public. Gambians should support efforts to protect press freedom, as we have seen in Senegal, and resist attempts to censor or intimidate journalists. Despite being neighboring countries, Senegal and the Gambia exhibit significant disparities in media freedom. According to Reporters Without Borders World Press Freedom Index for 2022, Senegal ranks 49th globally out of 180 countries, showcasing a relatively high level of press freedom. In contrast, The Gambia ranks 85th, indicating a more constrained media environment within the country. Senegal boasts a diverse and thriving media landscape compared to the Gambia. Data from the Media Foundation for West Africa reveals that as of 2022, Senegal has over 100 registered newspapers, radio stations, and television channels combined. Conversely, the Gambia, despite recent improvements, has a significantly lower number of media outlets, with only around 30 registered newspapers, radio stations, and television channels. Senegal provides comparatively stronger legal protections for journalists than the Gambia. The International Press Institute's data indicates that Senegal has implemented robust legal frameworks safeguarding press freedom, including laws that protect journalists' rights to access information and operate without fear of harassment or censorship. In contrast, the Gambia has been historically marked by legal constraints and persecution of journalists, although recent reforms have aimed to address these issues. The fifth major lesson is the regional cooperation in Senegal. The crisis in Senegal highlighted the interconnectedness of political dynamics within Senegal. Gambians should recognize the importance of regional cooperation and solidarity amongst each other in addressing common challenges and promoting peace and stability. There should be no such thing as "it doesn't bother me because I am not affected." If it affects one, then it affects all. We must learn to cooperate with one another in fighting a common goal. These are the 5 major lessons for us Gambians to learn and adopt to bring justice and order in our selection process. Please let us know what you think in the comment section below, or state yours in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and Ramadan Mubarak.